in the water is heat 2 of 67 for the men's 100-yard freestyle. In lane 1 from Colorado, Gordon Grieve. Lane 2 from Nova, Everett Smethurst. Lane 3 from Santa Barbara, Jeff Farrell. Lane 4 from Sawtooth, Nate Thomas. Lane 5 from Rose Bowl, William Fleming. Lane 6 from Fort Lauderdale, Clyde Akbar. Lane 7 from West Hollywood, Neil Weiner. And then lane 8 from Mission Viejo is Ian Stewart. The record for 85 and up is 1:10.92. Jeff Farrell's seed time is right there. So keep an eye on Jeff in lane 3. And finishing in 1:16.91, just off the pace, Jeff Farrell. Heat 3. In lane 1 from Taos, Paul Template. Lane 2 from Fort Lauderdale, Ami Trauber. Lane 3 from Olympic, William Van Horn. Lane 4 from Arizona, Peter Churchill. Lane 5 from Virginia, Harry Sober. Lane 6 from Winden Sea, Dan Willert. Lane 7 from Fina, Peter Straka. Lane 8 from San Diego, John Bell. Lane 9 from San Diego, George Carey. And in lane 10 from Rose Bowl, Peter Ronay. Touching first in lane 4, Peter Churchill with an unofficial time of 1:12.87. Heat 4. In lane 1 from Long Beach, Stan Smith. Lane 2 from Ventura, Robert Owens. Lane 3 from Tamalpais, Kenneth Frost. Lane 4, Howard Lamoth. Lane 5 from Tamalpais, Tony Ralphs. Lane 6 from Palm Beach, Kevin McFerrin. Lane 7, Ronald Peters. Lane 9 from Manatee, Gary Fishin. And in lane 10 from Colorado, William Burson. Touching first in lane 6, Kevin McFerrin with an unofficial time of, the board showing lane 5, touch first, Tony Ralphs with an unofficial time of 1:09.37. And lane 4, Howard Lamoth. Heat 5. In lane 1 from Puget Sound, Steve Peterson. Lane 2, Tony Gleason. 3 from Ohio, Lawrence Turkle. 4 from Savannah, Mickey McCullum. Lane 5 from Tamalpais, Richard Burns. Lane 6 from Montgomery, John Stafford. Lane 7 from Walnut Creek, James DeLacy. Lane 8 from Walnut Creek, Craig Dennis. Lane 9 from Tamalpais, Peter Anderson. And in lane 10 from the Olympic Club, James Elder. And touching first, lane 7, James DeLacy with an unofficial time of 1:02.83. Heat 6. In lane 1, Anton Genev. Lane 2 from Mission Viejo, Gary Clendenin. Lane 3 from Manatee, Tom Alderson. Lane 4 from West Hollywood, Charles Larson. Lane 5 from Minnesota, Ralph Bovard. Lane 6 from Nova, Stephen Owen. Lane 7 from Rose Bowl, Michael Tullen. Lane 8 from Nickel City, Paul Speaker. And in lane 9 from Austin, Rob Floyd. Touching first in lane 3, Tom Alderson with an unofficial time of 1:08.25. Heat 7. In the water is Heat 7 of 67. In lane 1 from Golden Road, Eric Stern. Lane 2 from New York, Edward Wallace. Lane 3 from Oregon, Alan Larson. Lane 4, Masters of South, Carl Owens. Lane 5, Larry Wright. Lane 6, Sierra Nevada, Steve Lintz. Lane 7 from New Albany, Daniel Dudley. Lane 8 from Windansea, Jonathan Sheff. Lane 9 from Mission Viejo, Mark Longworth. And in lane 10 from Puget Sound, Bill Knowlton. Touching first in lane 4, Carl Owens with an unofficial time of 1:05.70. Heat 8. In lane 1 from Sarasota, Brian Voisard. Lane 2 from Illinois, Alan Wiki. Lane 3 from Tamalpais, Alan Bernard. Lane 4 from San Diego, Bill Bahoon. Lane 5 from New Mexico, Robert Wilson. Lane 6 from Michigan, Chuck Olson. Lane 7 from Pegasus, Bill Struckle. Lane 8 from Wind and Sea, Philip Sinatra. Lane 9 from Illinois, Phil Dodson. And in lane 10 from Mission Viejo, Van Cochran. Touching first, lane 5, Robert Wilson with an unofficial time of 58 flat. '71. Nope.
All right, Kevin, let's go.
Relay cards can be picked up at admin at pool B. That's the other pool. And just a reminder, we'll have a 10-minute break following the hundreds. Heat 9.
Take your mark. Stand clean. Swimmers, take your mark.
In lane 1 from Walnut Creek, Kevin Peters. Lane 2 from Mission Viejo, Mark Saraton. Lane 3 from Conejo Valley, Bill Marshall. Lane 4 from Ridgelea, Chuck Burr. Lane 5 from Nova, Michael Bregman. Lane 6 from Illinois, Matthew Vogel. Lane 7 from Bear Valley, Dan Armstrong. Lane 8 from Renegade, Warren Turner. Lane 9 from Movi, Marco Ricald. And in lane 10, Jim Rudloff. Touching first, lane 3, Bill Marshall with an unofficial time of 104.63. Heat 10.
Take your mark.
In lane 1 from New England, Paul Savuto. Lane 2 from Croc, Dan Sheehan. Lane 4 from Oregon, Mike Payton. Lane 5 from Long Beach, Kurt Thornburg. Lane 6 from San Diego, Lumen Wing. Lane 7 from New England, Scott Semley. Lane 8 from North Bay, Mark Huffman. And in lane 10 from Oregon, Tom Phipps. Touching first in lane 8, Mark Huffman with an unofficial time of 102.53. Heat 11.
Take your mark.
In lane 1 from Colorado, Christopher Nolte. Lane 2 from Streamliners, Paul Clark. Lane 3 from Illinois, Boyd Black. Lane 4 from North Bay, Jeff Spellberg. Lane 5 from Bozeman, Patrick Murtaugh. Lane 6 from Puget Sound, Lionel Pailiez. Lane 8 from Ventura, Michael Blatt. Lane 9 from Illinois, Jeffrey Blumenthal. And in lane 10 from North Carolina, Charles Reed. Touching first, lane 8, Michael Blatt with an unofficial time of 56.79.
Thank you, Summer.
Heat 12.
Take your mark.
Lane 1 from Nova, Joe Tack. Lane 2 from Manatee, Steve Cutting. Lane 3 from Minnesota, Bruce Pack. Lane 4 from Santa Rosa, Mark Evans. Lane 5 from Rose Bowl, Dan Stevenson. Lane 6 from North Carolina, Paul Dennison. Lane 7 from Ridgely, Greg Meek. Lane 8 from Colorado, Michael Mann. Lane 9 from Wisconsin, Dean Fokios. And in lane 10 from Nova, Timothy Buckley. Touching first, lane 6, Paul Dennison with an unofficial time of 52.83.
Thank you, Summer.
Heat 13.
Take your mark.
In lane 1 from Mission Viejo, Soli Nafi'i. Lane 2 from San Diego, Trevor Isaacs. Lane 5 from Golden Road, Matt Cloutier. Lane 6 from Las Vegas, James Chalkley. Lane 7 from San Diego, Keith Willerman. Lane 8 from Nova, Alan Denson. And in lane 9 from San Diego, Frank Simpson. Touching first lane 5, Matt Cloutier. Heat 14.
Take your mark. Stand clean. Take your mark.
In lane 1, Art Luchaunig. Lane 2, Kevin Mortensen. Lane 3, Jeffrey Magurek. Lane 4, Donald Fleming. Lane 6, Mike Kavanaugh. Lane 7, Scott Vila. Lane 8, Patrick Curran. Lane 9, Chris Kammerman. And in lane 10, Bill Millward.
your marks. Thank you. Please clear. Heat 17. Take your marks.
In the water is heat 17 of 67. In lane 1, Mark Egan. Lane 2, Mark Richards. Lane 3, Fred Munson. 4, David Grutenhaus. Lane 5, Thomas Woods. Lane 6, Brent Washburn. Lane 7, Dennis Fisher. Lane 8, Roy O'Neill. Lane 9, Ian King. And 10, Scott Roth. Touching first, lane 5, Thomas Woods. Unofficial time at 57:55.
Thank you. Please clear.
Heat 18.
Take your marks.
In lane 1, Tom Naylor. Lane 2, Michael Bergman. Lane 3, Bill Sherman. Lane 4, Jeffrey Hookling. Lane 5, David Sims. Lane 6, Robert Freund. Lane 7, Thomas Taylor. Lane 9, Rick Field. And in lane 10, Algernon Keith. Touching first, lane 5, David Sims with an unofficial time of 53:70.
Please clear.
Heat 19. Lane 2, Bob Tyler. Lane 3, Chuck Ponthier. Lane 4, Don Smith. Lane 5, Tom Harville. Lane 6, Jerry Colross. Lane 7, Bryant Lum. Lane 8, Brewer Sovira Labasti. Lane 9, Greg Remmert. And lane 10, Jeffrey Stevens. Touching first, Tom Harville with an unofficial time of 51:78.
Thank you. Please clear.
Heat 20.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Raymond Camacho. 2, Brian Haberstich. 3, Brent Barnes. 4, Andrew Forsyth. 5, Sam Kuha. 6, Patrick Kelly. 9, Daniel Busaglia. And in lane 10, Fernando Mejia. Touching first, lane 6, Patrick Kelly with an unofficial time of 103:31.
Thank you. Please clear.
Heat 21.
Take your mark.
Lane 2, Charles Niederhofer. Lane 4, Thomas Sheehan. Lane 5, Kurt Koling. Lane 6, Billy Cordero. Lane 7, Michael Turner. Lane 8, Craig Coda. And lane 10, Mike Chang. Touching first, lane 5, Kurt Koling with an unofficial time of 59:06. Heat 22.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Mark Fleming. Lane 2, Curtis Jenkins. 3, Rick Widgwick. 4, Randy Howe. 5, John Wilhelm. 6, William Gardner. 7, Jerry Tallman. 8, Jeffrey Serpin. 9, Daniel Ferguson. And lane 10, Ray Frost. Touching first, lane 2, Curtis Jenkins, with an unofficial time of 55:57. Heat 23.
Take your mark.
In lane 1, Kurt Gehring. 2, Mark O'Leary. 3, Anthony Kong. 4, Michael Sorensen. 5, Clark Ledger. 6, Julio Cienega. 7, John Monich. 9, Ted Krovitz. And 10, Scott Carell. Touching first, lane 7, John Monich, with an unofficial time of 55:43. Heat 24.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Douglas Woodring. 2, Stephen Powell. 3, Brian Strait. 4, Lionel Challender. 5, Christian Sellers. 6, Michael Power. 7, Brian Bunch. 8, James Fisher. And 9, Graham Beckold. Touching first, lane 6, Michael Power, with an unofficial time of 52:06. Heat 25.
Take your mark.
The Masters national record for this event is 48:39. Keep an eye on lanes 5 and 6. In lane 1, Dennis Bennett. 2, Bert Bergen. 3, Benjamin Vanderwell. 4, Mike Irvine. 5, Steve Hiltebittle. 6, Steve Unruh. 7, Matt Sneeren. 8, John McComish. 9, James Loeb. And 10, Jeffrey Ush. We're looking for a time faster than 48:39. And finishing first in lane 4 with an unofficial time of 49:72, Mike Irvine.
All right, Patrick, let's go now.
Stage 2, please clear.
Heat 26.
Take your mark.
Please note that the area behind the blocks are for the timers and swimmers only, and absolutely no photography. Lane 20 in Heat 26. Lane 1, Eric Bluel. Lane 2, Derek Sandstrom. Lane 3, James Cordozo. Lane 4, Scott Cheney. Lane 5, Mikhail Lazarev. Lane 6, Christian Evard. Lane 7, Patrick Wen. Lane 8, Brian Anderson. Lane 9, Robert Bergholzer. And in lane 10, Mike Gaw. Once again, if you're not a timer or a swimmer, please leave from behind the blocks. Touching first, lane 1, Mikhail Lazarev, with an unofficial time of 56:74. Heat 27.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Michael Chiappetta. Lane 2, Carl Knope. Lane 3, Todd Holmes. Lane 4, Frank Lenack. Lane 5, Sean Paxton. Lane 6, Adam Mush. Lane 7, Steve Mackay. Lane 9, Dave Bartles. And lane 10, Jim Brandon. Touching first, lane 6, Adam Mush with an unofficial time of 54:21. Heat 28.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Eric Stewart. Lane 2, Bob Thompson. 3, Charles McPeak. 4, David Moreno. 5, Joe Volk. 6, Michael Foote. 7, Todd Verkus. 8, James Holt. 9, John Chung. And lane 10, Michael Letton. Touching first in lane 2, Bob Thompson with an unofficial time of 54.97.
Thank you. Please clear.
Heat 29.
Take your mark.
Lane 2, Chris Courtney. 3, Jim Newsall. 4, Brant Basir. 5, Cliff Harbert. 6, Scott Hubbard. 7, Douglas O'Brien. 8, Scott Adams. 9, James Mello. And 10, Damon Tucker. Touching first, lane 6, Scott Hubbard with an unofficial time of 52.53.
Thank you. Please clear.
Heat 30.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Mays Alsberg. Lane 2, Darby Crow. Lane 4, Eric Petria. Lane 5, Bob Baldacci. Lane 6, John Paris. Lane 7, Kirk Nelson. Lane 9, Brent Wood. And lane 10, Thomas Rosinski. Touching first, lane 6, John Paris with an unofficial time of 50.83. Heat 31.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Ross Breitenbach. Lane 2, Ronald Scott. Lane 3, Abraham Solano. Lane 4, Dan Wegner. Lane 5, Brent Holston. Lane 6, Rusty Miller. Lane 7, Devin Sumner. Lane 9, Steve Gunnell. And lane 10, Christopher Beach. Touching first, lane 5, Brent Holston with an unofficial time of 49.78.
Thank you. Please clear.
Heat 32.
Take your mark.
Lane 2, Albert Garibi. Lane 3, Albert Hutchins. Lane 5, Jeff Mundy. Lane 6, Clyde Longdelogo. Lane 7, Gregory Hirschman. And lane 8, Elliot Feliciano. Touching first in lane 3, Albert Hutchins with an unofficial time of 59.96. 58.96. Heat 33.
Take your mark.
In lane 2, Eric Bell. Lane 3, Stefan Schoenauer. Lane 5, Reese Campbell. Lane 6, Todd Foos. Lane 7, Mickey Barda. Lane 9, Joshua Menez. And in lane 10, Maximiliano Sorbellini.
Write that up. He doesn't look injured.
Touching first, lane 5, Reese Campbell with an unofficial time of 56.29. Heat 34.
I can tell it was a club driver. I saw the green shirt and everything. Oh, yeah, you're right. What is it? 37?
Lane 1, Matt Reason. Lane 2, Russell Walter. Lane 3, Brian Ragsdale. Lane 4, Shane Stender. Lane 6, Paul Fesser. Lane 7, Eric Hartung. Lane 8, Ryan Bowling. Lane 9, Steven Salata. And in lane 10, Brian Goldberg. Touching first, lane 4, Shane Stender with an unofficial time of 55:41. Heat 35.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Jefferson Litton. Lane 2, Sean Croson. Lane 3, Matt Gardner. Lane 4, Javier Saldana. Lane 5, Rodrigo Iglesias. Lane 6, Joshua Schwartz. Lane 7, Volodymyr Kraskov. Lane 8, Justin Walton. Lane 9, Brock Sheila. And lane 10, Maurice Tetzloff. And touching first in lane 6 is Joshua Schwartz with an unofficial time of 51:02. Heat 36.
Take your mark.
In lane 1, Tally Taylor. 2, David Andre. 3, Brian Bell. 4, Joel Davis. 5, Benjamin Reed. 6, Mark Farron. 7, Daniel Monin. 8, Kelly Karen. 9, Grayson Morris. And lane 10, Darren Bushman. Touching first, lane 9, Grayson Morris with an unofficial time of 51:34.
Heat 37.
In lane 1, Wayne Huang. Lane 2, Andrew Wood. 3, David Cole. 4, Don Secor. 5, Jeff Cummings. 6, Andrew Babcock. 7, Andy Hunter. 9, Corey Nichols. And in lane 10 is Daniel Gent. The national masters record for this age group is 46:59. And just out touching lane 2 is lane 1, Andrew Babcock, with an unofficial time of 49:61.
Thank you, Summer.
Heat 38.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Alvaro Hunter. Lane 2, Ellison Wada. Lane 3, Hector Ornelas. Lane 4, Roberto Gaida. Lane 5, Aaron Thomas. Lane 6, Kevin Chen. Lane 7, Jason Shaney. Lane 8, Nicholas Burnett. And in lane 9, David Glassman. Touching first, lane 7, Jason Shaney with an unofficial time of 57:70. Heat 39.
Take your mark.
In lane 1, Emery Aiden. Lane 2, Jason Welchel. Lane 3, Michael Ulbrich. Lane 4, Michael Steinfeld. Lane 5, Jeffrey Balden. Lane 6, Peter Bossler. Lane 7, Colin Williamson. Lane 8, James Heath. Lane 9, Jean-Paul Jordan. And in lane 10, Aaron Jacobs. Touching first, lane 4, Mikkel Steinfeld with an unofficial time of 54:25. Heat 40.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Tyrone Jimison. Lane 2, Peter Rokos. Lane 3, Aaron Hawkins. Lane 4, Matt Ulrichsen. Lane 5, Jeffrey Pierce. Lane 6, Wright Stanton. Lane 7, John Bennett. Lane 8, Ted Wallach. And lane 9, Michael Denny. Touching first, lane 1, Matt Ulrichsen. The unofficial time of 49:12.
Thank you, Summer.
Heat 41.
Take your mark.
In lane 1, George Qualley. Lane 2, Richie Fisher. Lane 3, Alejandro Manrique. Lane 4, Graham Billington. Lane 5, Kevin Mendenhall. Lane 6, Christopher Pritchett. Lane 7, Christopher Press. Lane 8, Jonathan Goler. Lane 9, Jonathan Matthews. And lane 10, Sean Giurison. Touching first, lane 7, Christopher Press, with an unofficial time of 50:21.
Heat 42. Take your mark. Stand, please. Take your mark.
Lane 1, Andrew Demand. Lane 2, Christian Vanderkay. Lane 3, Juan Valdivizio. Lane 4, Mario Marshall. 5, Anthony Irvine. 6, Marcus Rogan. 8, Kurt Wood. 9, Dirk Kraft. And 10, Michael Grados. The Masters National Championship time record is 45:15. Lanes 4, 5, and 6 all have seed times around there. Just off the championship time, finishing at 45:89, Marcus Rogan.
Thank you, Summer.
Heat 43.
mark.
Lane 1, Justin Reynolds. 2, Christopher Tredanek. 3, Antonio Escobar. 4, Andrew Steele. 5, Hugo Alvarez. 6, Isaac Trumbo. 7, Eric Markle. 9, Joseph Fithune. And 10, Adam Gutierrez. Touching first, lane 7, Eric Markle with an unofficial time of 54:41. Heat 44.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Philip Zemansky. Lane 2, Brett Keys. Lane 3, Rogelio Dominguez. Lane 4, Matthew Zakin. Lane 5, Francisco Manzi. Lane 6, Tim Taylor. Lane 7, Robert Nito. Lane 8, Jeff Cheney. Lane 9, Luis Clavio. And lane 10, Francisco is not here. Touching first, lane 7, Robert Nito with an unofficial time of 50:82. Heat 45.
Stand, please. Swimmers, take your mark.
In lane 1, Benjamin Pulskamp. Lane 2, Nicholas Chukiat. Lane 3, Jason Smith. Lane 4, Jason Werner. Lane 5, Thomas Tredanek. Lane 6, Nathan Riccatelli. Lane 7, David Curtis. Lane 8, Travis Bartosh. Lane 9, Guido Morit. And lane 10, Mark Barham. Touching first, lane 5, Thomas Tredanek with an unofficial time of 49:13. Heat 46.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Ben Smith. Lane 2, Danny Giametti. Lane 3, Chris Conroy. Lane 4, Serdan Markovic. Lane 5, Tyler DeBerry. 6, Bobby Savelich. 7, Edward Haggerty. 8, Nader Ammer. 9, Jackson Wang. And 10, Michael Heinen. Touching first, lane 6, Bobby Salvich with an unofficial time of 46:67.
Thank you, swimmers.
Heat 47.
Take your mark.
Lane 2, Ross Hartley. Lane 3, Jesse Rodriguez. Lane 4, Cameron Vogel. Lane 5, Alexander Rossbach. Lane 7, Tyler Michael. Lane 8, Kyle Morrison. And lane 10, Yuya Terada. Touching first, lane 8, Kyle Morrison with an unofficial time of 52:86.
Thank you, swimmers.
Heat 48.
Take your mark.
Lane 2, Truman Ward. Lane 2, Truman Word. Lane 3, Aaron Nicholas. Lane 4, Denver Hogat. Lane 5, Ryan Smith. Lane 6, Robert Frawley. Lane 7, Ryan Svensson. Lane 8, Daniel Castro. And lane 9, Jason Cohen. Touching first, lane 3, Aaron Nicholas with an unofficial time of 50:42. Heat 49. Lane 1, Ethan Fisher. Lane 2, Blake Schaefer. 3, Graham Charlton. 4, Hayden Burnbridge. 5, Lewis Rogers. 6, Carter Crow. 7, Andrew DeMichaelis. 8, Andrew Adams. 9, Garrett Hubbard. And in lane 10, Kyle Begovich. Touching first, lane 3, Graham Charlton with an unofficial time of 48.80. Heat 50. Lane 1, Blake Buchanan. Lane 2, Yahweh Howe. Lane 3, Zach Hansen. Lane 5, Bo Montgomery. Lane 6, Daniel Toberman. Lane 7, Andrew Burnbridge. And in lane 10, Joel Christensen. Touching first, lane 1, Andrew Burnbridge with an unofficial time of 48.56. Heat 51. Lane 1, John Cook. Lane 3, John Lynch. Lane 4, Rafael Alfaro. Lane 5, Trevor Sheed. Lane 6, Robbie Morris. Lane 7, Daniel Wall. Lane 8, Michael Gallagher. Lane 9, John Zip. And lane 10, Ethan Chase. Touching first, lane 7, Daniel Wall with an unofficial time of 46.24. Heat 52. Lane 1, Ruben Jimenez. Lane 2, Paul Mark Schweitzer. Lane 3, Marcos Levado. Lane 4, Jack Preto. Lane 5, Timothy Phillips. Lane 6, Brandon Fisher. Lane 7, Ralph Perazzo. Lane 8, Ozeki Ortiz Canavate. And lane 9, Adil Aswab. And lane 10, Cole Davis. Touching first, lane 8. Ortiz Canavate with an unofficial time of 44.62. Heat 53. Lane 1, Justin Treyweeks. Lane 2, Galen Martins. 3, Matthew Howard. 4, Jonas Loser. 5, Luke Daly. 6, Michael Camacho. 7, Brian Gu. 8, Byron He. 9, Nicholas Tangeland. And 10, Michael Perez. Touching first, lane 7, Brian Gu with an unofficial time of 51.98. Heat 54. Lane 1, Joey Kleinow. Lane 2, Daniel McIntosh. Lane 4, Hermes Ip. Lane 5, Avery Krovets. Lane 6, Brent Begali. Lane 7, Jackie Chen. Lane 8, Alex Brown. Lane 9, Joe Breitenstein. And in lane 10, Eli Olson. Touching first, lane 5, Avery Krovets with an unofficial time of 50.05. Heat 55. Lane 2, Zachariah Bettner. Lane 3, Reed Malone. 4, Blake Hollis. 5, Will Toms. 6, Patrick Kearney. 7, Brian Fedorov. 8, Brooks McNamara. 9, Taylor Rowe. And in lane 10, Austin Provost. Touching first, lane 3, Reed Malone with an unofficial time of 46:68.
Thank you. Please clear.
Heat 56.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Kevin Renauld. 2, Alan Peterson. 3, Jay Van Buren. 4, Ben Schaefer. 5, Nathaniel Hubenthal. 6, Noah Becker. 7, Dennis Dadashev. 8, Sam Gleason. And 9, Aditya Jalahal. Touching first, lane 4, Ben Schaefer. Unofficial time 47:23. Heat 57.
Take your mark.
In lane 1, John Amos. Lane 3, Nathan Kurtz. Lane 4, Michael Barrowcliff. Lane 5, Josh Matsushima. 6, Robert Ilgenfritz. 7, Luke Burnbridge. 8, Eric Shee. 9, Morgan Fatora. And in lane 10, Christian Corbett. Just a reminder, there'll be a 10-minute break following the 100 free before the relays. The odd relays will be held in this pool. Touching first, lane 6, Robert Ilgenfritz with an unofficial time of 48:61.
Thank you. Please clear.
Heat 58.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Joshua Harmon. 2, Jack Portman. 3, Christopher Fisher. 4, Scott Bergstrom. 5, Jacob Luna. 6, Matthew Erickson. 7, Julian Mackerel. 8, Ryan Troy. 9, Henry Smith. And 10, Noah Thompson. Touching first, lane 7, Julian Mackerel with an unofficial time of 45:40.
Thank you. Please clear.
Get out!
Heat 59.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Joshua Lefebvre. Lane 2, Bryce Boston. 3, Patrick Connaughton. 4, Keeler Callahan. 5, Nikita Semenov. 6, Kevin Mendoza. 7, Bryce Kablish. 8, Corbin Cooper. 9, Alex Shazda. Lane 10, Thomas Prika.
Let's go, Bryce! Yeah, he's in the last final heat of this.
Touching first, lane 4, Keeler Callahan with an unofficial time of 47:39.
Thank you. Please clear.
Heat 60.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Grant Schultz. 2, Griffin Schumacher. 3, Henry Hoovenwright. Lane 4, Brian Hogan. 5, Matthew Healy. 6, Trey Kullick. 7, Christian Henry. 8, Nikita Bondarenko. 9, David Heron. And 10, Adam Castigar. Touching first, lane 1, Grant Schultz. The unofficial time of 44:51. Heat 61.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Eduardo Soleil. Lane 2, Daniel Miller. 3, Carl Serrier. 4, Tom Kremer. 5, Thomas Dillinger. 6, Neil Franca. 7, Yusuf Tabazi. 8, Kevin Mastracci. 9, Sam Kettlewell Sites. 10, Lee Ward. The Masters national record for this age group is 41:13. Touching first by 1/100 of a second, Lane 6, Neil Franca.
Lot 45. Woo! Lot 44.
Thank you. Please clear.
Heat 62.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Stephen Scholes. 2, Matthew Mativi. 3, Sean Hopkins. 4, Anshul Kamath. 6, Kanta Emoto. 7, Martin Toney. 8, Nathan Block. 9, Anthony Creeder. And 10, Ali Arab Shahi. Touching first, lane 4, Anshul Kamath with an unofficial time of 51:33.
Let's go, Steven.
Thank you. Please clear.
Heat 63.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Jose Santa Maria. Lane 2, Aiden Asuncion. Lane 3, Justin Gomez. Lane 4, Alex Hale. Lane 5, Urban Alvarado. Lane 6, Eugene DeCoste. Lane 7, Matt Donna. Lane 8, Stephen Yu. Lane 9, Nicholas Gutierrez. And lane 10, Austin Wharton. And touching first, lane 6, Eugene DeCoste with an unofficial time of 48:91.
Thank you. Please clear.
Heat 64.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Alex Ong. Lane 2, Casper Howland. 3, Ramy Bechet. 4, Orion Vianos. 5, Trevor Entz. 6, John Suits. 7, Christopher Johnson. 8, Ben Bergen. 9, Paul Ogle-Sporer. And lane 10, Chris Lively. Touching first, lane 4, Orion Vianos with an unofficial time of 47:33. Heat 65.
Take your mark.
This is event 65 of 67. Lane 1, Ivan Alexandrovich. Lane 2, Sean Twomey. 3, Caleb Rogers. 4, Dylan Kasser. 5, Patrick Easter. 6, Ben Thomas. 7, Peyton Burson. 8, Micah Fesser. 9, Luke Bird. 10, Christopher Rickner. The Masters national record for this age group is 42.59. That might come into play in the last heat. And touching first in lane 6, Ben Thomas with an unofficial time of 49.48.
Thank you. Please clear.
Heat 66.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Cole Welsh. Lane 2, Nate Biondi. 3, Thomas Fry. 4, Ben Pruka. 6, Peter Brooks. 7, Kyle Millis. 8, Shane Forker. 9, Nicholas Teodescu. And lane 10, Matthew Cooley. Touching first, lane 8. Shane Forker with an unofficial time of 45.57. Once again, keep your eye on the national record of 42.59. Heat 67.
Take your mark.
Lane 1, Brandon Silver. Lane 2, Matthew Malby Cole. Lane 3, Jackson Odgers. Lane 4, Emilio Perez. Lane 6, Spencer Clark. Lane 7, Connor Florence. Lane 8, Benjamin Cable. Lane 9, Eric Sondheim. And lane 10, Adam Hahn. Touching first, lane 4, Emilio Perez with an unofficial time of 44.77. There'll now be a 10-minute break. The pool is now closed, and then we'll be doing the odd relays in this pool. So we will be starting at 55:37.